Hey guys, and today I'm reacting to my Premier League predictions, which I already know I've got a few of them wrong, but we'll jump straight into it. Let's start with the biggest game of the weekend, one of the biggest games in the Premier League calendar, the Manchester Derby. Manchester United are at home to Manchester City. Now, do we get the Manchester United who had the balls to go ahead and attack Liverpool and lose 5-0, or do we get the Manchester United who put on a brilliant display against Tottenham? With Raphael Varane injured, I get the feeling the United aren't going to be as good in defence. Oh, it's going to be a really tough one because you think they may have turned a leaf. That did not age well, that turning a leaf comment. Turned over a new leaf with that victory against Spurs. I'm unsure. I think Manchester City are too good for them. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Manchester City. I just don't think the United system, if they're going to stick with this three at the back, works without Varane. Who's now injured. So yeah, sorry Manchester United fans, but I'm going a 3-1 victory for Manchester City. I actually don't think that prediction is too bad. It was a 2-goal difference between the two. United are worse than I thought. Just that really good Tottenham performance in the game against Tottenham, sandwiched between two shockers at home to Liverpool and City. I didn't think they'd be that bad. I know City are very good, so it's probably... I'm not going to be harsh against Manchester United because Manchester City are ridiculously good. But yeah, I got that one wrong. I got the result correct, just not the score. Right, moving on from that, actually, we're going to go to the Friday night game between Southampton and Aston Villa. And if rumour has it, this could be Dean Smith's final game in charge of Aston Villa. They're on It was Dean Smith's final game in charge of Aston Villa, in fact. I feel like it's a bit harsh to sack him. I mentioned this in the Daily News earlier on today, which you guys have all seen. I think it's very harsh that he lost a very important player in the summer. Hasn't quite built the team, but look, if the form is poor and they're threatened by relegation, clubs are going to act. Shocking run at the moment. I think it's 4 defeats in a row. And if they lose to Hasenhüttl's side, he's going to be in big trouble, especially because Villa have spent quite a lot of money since coming back to the Premier League a couple of years ago. They seem to have a very good team on paper. I just don't know why they can't seem to put it together on the pitch. Like, yes, they lost Jack Grealish, but they improved certainly the players in their squad by spending the 100 million that they got from City for Grealish. But buying turns out spending 100 million does not cover the fact that they've lost a very important player. Oh, God. Some quality players. Leon Bailey hasn't hit the ground running. Danny Ings has done pretty well. They just can't seem to get it together. I don't think they're going to lose, though. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between those two. Next up, we'll go back to... Well, it was a pretty close game, actually. 1-0 to Southampton. And yeah, that did spell the end of the reign for Dean Smith. He's a little bit hard done by. But yeah, like I mentioned, if your form's pretty poor, they've got to turn the corner somewhere. I'll be really interested to see who Aston Villa bring in. That's probably for another video. Let's get on with the predictions. Saturday's games, Chelsea against Burnley. Chelsea are in fine form. Burnley obviously picked up their first win of the weekend, last weekend against Brentford, but away to Chelsea. I'm going to go for... I was going to go for 4 then. Is that a bit mad? 4-1. I think Burnley are going to score. Correct prediction. Burnley will score a goal. We don't have to worry that Chelsea scored 3 less than I predicted. Yeah, a 1-1 draw is actually pretty good for Burnley. Very good for Burnley against league leaders Chelsea, who are looking ridiculously good. And despite the fact Chelsea are very, very good at keeping clean sheets, I just feel like Burnley can nick a goal off a set piece especially. So 4-1 to Chelsea, I'm going with. Next up, Crystal Palace against Wolves. Wolves finally managed to pick up a win against Everton. Finally managed to pick up a win. Everton were the ones in poor form. Wolves continued their good form with a victory. Palace picked up a very good win against Manchester City. But 10-men Manchester City. Oh, both teams are pretty good at the moment. I'm going to go for Palace to nick this. 1-0. 1-0 to Crystal Palace. Yeah, 1-0, 2-0, kind of the same thing. I actually think Patrick Vieira is doing such a good job. These are the games where you see... This happens quite a lot. Teams will win massive games against big teams, or they'll put in a very good performance and then falter against lesser sides, no disrespect to Wolves. Palace need to make sure they don't do that, because if you follow up a win against Manchester City with a loss or a draw to Wolves, you've shot yourself in the foot, because you might as well just reverse the results. You might as well just got battered by City, then go and beat Wolves, which is the game that you would on paper think would be an easier win. So the fact they followed it up with another win is amazing. Brentford are a great example of this. Like, yeah, they did very well to, beat Arsenal and draw against Liverpool at home, but then they lost at home to Norwich. So, we'll get onto that in a second. Next up, Brentford against Norwich. I mentioned last week about Brentford being a bad form, which is why I went for a Burnley win, which was proven correct. Even though I didn't get the right score, I got the right result. 2-0 to Brentford. Idiot, again. 2-0 to Brentford. I gave so much spiel about them being in terrible form and then thought that they would win. They lost 2-1. 2-0, maybe? Yeah, 2-0 to Brentford. I really struggle to see where Norwich are going to get the goals from, and Brentford are very good at home. So yeah, 2-0 to Brentford. Daniel Farke, by the way, gone as well. I can't believe they fired him after a win. What a mixed emotions of a day. Next up, Brighton Newcastle. Things haven't gone well for Newcastle recently, and Brighton are in some pretty good form, and that turnaround last week at Anfield was impressive. And yeah, Brighton are just such a dominant team, and I feel like Newcastle are going to have to rely on the counter. Doesn't really serve them too well at the best of times. This is just one of those games that has got either a shock away win for Newcastle or a really comfortable home victory for Brighton. I can't see it being a draw. Cut to it being a draw, clearly. Famous last words. I can't see it being a draw. Come on then, past Matt. What did you predict? I'm going to go for Brighton to win 2-1. Cut to it being a draw, clearly. Let's move on from this one. Yes, it was a draw. It was Brighton 1, Newcastle 1. Lewis Dunk ended up in goal at the end. These like reverse psychology predictions I'm doing are probably better than my actual ones. Next up, right, we're moving to the Sunday games now, and we have Everton against Tottenham. Antonio Conte is in at Tottenham, and you'd have thought with a new manager in charge, maybe there'd be an upturn in form. This is Tottenham we're talking about, though. Everton have been on a... Spot the pessimistic Tottenham fan, my God. Terrible run of form, and when you're in a terrible run of form, as we know, who better to play than Tottenham? Yeah, you can see the pessimism, the pessimistic Spurs fan in me coming out here. I would like to think there'll be a bit of an upturn in their form. Historically, in the last few years, they haven't been so great at Everton. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think it'll be an exciting game. I think both teams need a lesson in defending, but a 2-2 draw. That was way off. It was a 0-0. God, I think the most exciting thing was that penalty, non-penalty that Hugo Lloris managed to get away with. Yeah, that's not fantastic from either side. Neither of them covered themselves in attacking glory, definitely. Defensively, there were questions to be asked, but we knew that. But certainly with the attacking talent they got on the pitch, both sides are very poor. In the Everton versus Tottenham match. Next up is Leeds United against Leicester City. Much like I mentioned earlier with Manchester United being a little bit inconsistent, same thing with Leicester. Are we going to get the Leicester team who can beat Manchester United, who can put on a strong performance, or are we going to get the Leicester team who, for some reason, are seeming a little bit inconsistent this season? This is a really tough one. Bielsa's Leeds have not been strong. I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think that... I did it. I did it! Finally, a correct prediction. I feel like this isn't a surprise because it's only the second week we were doing this, but I finally got it right. A correct prediction, a 1-1 draw between Leeds and Leicester. I mean, I don't get any prizes for it, but the self-congratulatory message I give to myself for a correct result. I think they're going to share the points at Ellen Road. It's going to be a good game on Sunday, ahead of what is a great game. We'll get to that in just a second. Arsenal are at home to Watford. Yeah, this is pretty comfortable, I think, for Arsenal. We're going to go for a 3-0 victory. 3-0. If Aubameyang had scored the penalty, it would have been 2-0. Could have been a little bit more comfortable for Arsenal. They still won 1-0 in the end. So yeah, a pretty sort of simple victory on paper for them. I thought it was going to be a bit more comfortable, but there you go. They've been doing quite well recently. 3-0 to Arsenal at home to Watford. And lastly but not least, West Ham against Liverpool. I know I said the game of the weekend is the Manchester derby. It's a massive game, has massive ramifications in Manchester. West Ham Liverpool, purely for their form, is amazing. West Ham are very, very good this season, are on great form at the moment. Liverpool are unbeaten in all 16 games in all competitions, themselves are in brilliant form. But, having said that, in last week's predictions, I said Liverpool smashed United 5-0. They'll definitely beat Brighton at home. And there I was on Monday's video saying how well Brighton did to pick up a 2-2 draw. So, having said that, I think this could be a really good game. With West Ham at home, you'd put money on Liverpool, of course you would. But I'm going to go for another 2-2. Another 2-2. I actually thought I predicted 3-2. I didn't look back at these. I actually thought I got this one right. I was close, a 2-2 draw. It was phenomenal. You cannot write off West Ham this season. Absolutely not, especially at home. I think West Ham are very, very good. Liverpool could nick it on the fact that their defence is very strong. But yeah, a 2-2 draw to round off what would be, if all this came true, not only a very mystic weekend for me, but an incredibly exciting weekend of football. It was a very exciting weekend of football. Oh my God, I can't believe I got one right. Yeah, I got a few of the correct results, but not the correct scores. But that 1-1 draw, Leicester Leeds, I'm on the board. I'm on the board for the season with one correct result. Let's see how many I get by match day 38. So with 27 matches to go, this could get very, very exciting. And I'll probably be on about 3 by the end of the season. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, make sure you let me know all of your thoughts to the weekend's football down below, and we'll be back with some more predictions for the next round of Premier League fixtures.